G'day. I just wanted to take a few moments of your time to explain to you what our stance is with regard to money and ministry. It's a tricky subject, but I by no means want to sound critical of anyone else who's in ministry and the way in which God has led them to deal with the issue of finance. I believe it is quite unique to how we've journeyed with God thus far. And that's the case with myself and my wife, Jenny. It all started for us back in 1992 when we moved to a little rural town where I became the local Baptist pastor. The odd thing about it was that I went straight from a desk job to pastoring a church. It was a few months into that experience that I had this growing sense that something just didn't feel quite right. And so I began to pray and to seek God and to study the Word. And here, the long and the short of it was that we reached a point where I announced to the church family that we were going to scrap my salary. And in place of that, we were going to do this. I would ask them to pray for my wife, Jenny, and for myself and for our family, and to ask God simply, how do you want us to support this family? And so that's exactly what happened. But every month I'd meet with the deacons of our church and they would look at what had gone through the church books for tax purposes. And of course, they were quite horrified that there simply wasn't enough cash going through for us to possibly live. But what they didn't realise was that God indeed was taking care of us. There were days when we'd get home and there on our doorstep would be groceries that someone had gone and purchased because that's what God had asked them to do. We had another family, they lived on a hobby farm, and regularly, week in, week out, they would bring milk for us and eggs and fruit and vegetables from their farm. And so at the end of the 3 years that we were in Temora, even though our income had halved when we'd moved there, by the time we'd left, our bank balance was exactly the same as when we'd arrived. And so I've been encouraged by the Lord as we begin to make ministry materials available to you and others, that we should encourage you to simply ask God, how do you want me to support this ministry that is seeking to equip the saints? Whatever God says to you, I just encourage you to do that, because it is my heart's desire to be able to equip you to fulfill your God-given purpose. Thank you.